Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey. I'm your guest host tonight, Mr. Brent Thomas of the Paranormal Portal. I brought Don Longbeard with me to just help me stand up, and of course, we have the wonderful and amazing Daniela Agliolo.
Daniela.
Daniela. Sorry, I do have to learn how to say your last name. I
Murders it every time.
I do. I butcher a lot of names, so it's not just you. But we got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. Thank you guys for letting me stand here in Carrie's place. I'm absolutely honored, and it's a real privilege to be here. And I've had a wonderful time every time we've ever done the show. And Daniela, you've always done an amazing job making me look good, so I appreciate that. That is not an easy thing, so that's wonderful. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great guest with you for you tonight. I'm just tripping on my tongue like crazy, huh?
Yep.
But thanks, Don. That helps.
You're welcome.
We have Mr. Jason Roberts with us tonight of the BDRP. He is with us, and it's also known as Jason the Saxon, which I think is pretty cool. That's a cool name. But welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks very much, Brent. Good evening, everyone.
How you been? How's things over in your neck of the woods?
Very rainy at the minute. Very rainy. Yeah. Otherwise, not too bad. Not too bad.
Wonderful. And ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. Just keep it really respectful and nice in the chat room. Don't beat each other up. No throwing chairs and you know.
This isn't the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. Throw nothing at your monitors. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is a great opportunity, Jason. I've not met you before. We were just talking a little bit before about your journey, and I think you've got some great experiences. But I think the best place to start a journey is, where did it begin? And would you mind kind of bringing us up to speed of how this all became a reality for you?
Well, it became a reality not too long ago, but my real belief in it started very, very young, when it was just an unknown sort of attachment to the whole subject from England. So obviously, data and research facilities were very limited at the time. But as I've got older, it's just never gone away. And like I said to you before, there was an episode when I was about 4 years old, which to me is paranormal. When I saw something, which wasn't a Sasquatch or nothing like that, it was just a blue man came down my stairs and looked at me and then went back up the stairs.
Wow.
It freaked me. And I knew what I saw. I knew it went away because somebody was coming up the stairs, which was my mother. And to me, that just never went away. And I've tried to dismiss it and rubbish it all my life, but I just can't. So whether that's I don't know if that's a calling towards it, I don't know, or my actual just pure belief in the subject of Sasquatch and it being a reality. And why that felt like that way, I've got no idea either. But it is a weird journey. Yeah, it's not a straight one.
Well, it is really peculiar, but I think that's pretty amazing. I do think that there's possibly some interconnectedness between different parts of what I call the realm of the paranormal, and I certainly believe the cryptids are part of that. But it seems as though there's been some kind of resonance with you since a very young age for this, and I think that's a very powerful thing to have that journey. But so you saw this at a young age, and at what point did you really start investing yourself into learning about the Sasquatch and all these strange cryptids?
Well, Sasquatch first got my interest. It was in the news agents, when they have that sort of release when one might come out a month, and it was paranormal research, and each sort of publication would have something with it, like it might be, it was back in the day when it was allowed to be, but there was something like it might be satanic voices heard on one of them was the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it's going into that, and I saw it on the cover. And my mom wouldn't buy it me because it said parental advised, sort of things like that, and I was only young. But it just hit me, because when looking at it, it was real, And luckily enough, my father, before he passed, he was also a firm believer that it was real, and he says anyone can see that. So I grew up with that, so I think that helped.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like I said, there was a Native American attachment. I've always been drawn very much to the Native Americans from a young age. Like I read Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee when I was 11, which is a heavy book, you know, especially for an 11-year-old. And if you knew me at 11, you'd understand why that's a bit weird. But I think they're linked, because I kept hearing things all the time, you know, linked towards that, you know, with the folk tales and oral history. And I think it's just progressed from that. But more recently, I looked online for the first time, you know, maybe 2 years ago, and it was DDoS from the BDRP that sent me an email, and he wanted me to jump aboard with his team because he liked what I was saying about things, which shocked me. But everything happens for a reason, I suppose. You know, and that's where I'm at right now.
Wow, that is a cool story, and I think you're right. There's definitely a connectedness between the First Nations tribes and these cryptids, these beings that go back so far. I mean, there's references of them, you know, embarking in trade between those two very different peoples, and I think it's really neat that the Native Americans didn't call them monsters for the most part. They called them a people, like a different tribe.
Yeah.
It was just part of their reality.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why it shocks me when you've got the mainstream debunkers, which, you know, you always see the same faces over and over again on different programs. And they're meant to be professors and whatever else. And the way they try and dismantle it is absolutely absurd. There was one of them, he was saying that we're witnessing the birth and start of a new urban myth with Sasquatch. And I thought, what is he talking about? And he said that on TV. And for the love of me, I can't understand that. I really can't, because it's there.
Yeah.
You know? Just have a look through fish on the old newspaper reels, you know, that there's evidence of something going on way back. That's just for the Europeans. And then take it back even further with, like I said, with the tales of with the Native American. It goes back even further. It really does.
You know, and that's true. That's very true. I always found it fascinating that there are so many people that would love to dismiss this as a conjuring of the 1950s with the terming of the term Bigfoot, and
linking the two, that they both started together, and
like somehow this was just fabricated at that point. But you're right, there are references all over, even in old newspapers in the US, of people encountering these wild men, these ape men, these weird creatures, these ferociously big creatures. So the history of it is really it's always been a part of at least the North American continent that I'm aware of, and it's not something that just appeared in the 50s. It's always been here, but we tend to think, Don and I have a kind of an agreement that it's about the fact that there was no unifying terms before that. Right. So there was all these regional creatures that people were meeting and encountering, but it was just a regional creature. There was a Momo, there was a wild man, there's a grass man, but that's
the one. I think that's the crux there.
Yes.
Right there. They look back and they refuse now, when they're looking back or looking for evidence, to link the two. That's just a wild man. It's some guy that got a knock on the head while he was out prospecting and he just went wild. And you hear that again and again and again. And I think, please, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
He don't suddenly, because he went wacky in the woods, he suddenly became 10 foot tall and grew hair everywhere.
That'll do it to you. Good shot to the head.
Give me a knock.
That is crazy. It is. But I think that definitely lends a credibility, though, that the fact that these tales have been going on for pretty much as long as America has been a country, and probably long before that, obviously, as well. But people have been running into these beings all over the place. So,
Europe's the same. You know, the different names, and like the woodwork is a famous terminology in England or Britain. We've got, which is the wild man of the woods. You know, the green man. There's another name here, which has got to be something linked towards that. You know, and all across Europe, it's just linked again and again and again with the same stuff. So I think you really got be a bit of an empty-headed or a dunderbox to really just dismiss it.
Hey, what do you know about European reports? Is there anything in Spain? I've never even looked at Europe, really.
I was about to read, but I didn't get time this evening. But it's one on right, which has come up now. In Finland, there's one. Slovenia, I've heard. Russia, obviously. Everywhere we can go that way from Russia, obviously, but even real in Germany, there used to be, don't forget, mountainous areas and linked by deep forest right across the continent. There really was, which is the main reason why I struggle with it in Britain, because of the lack of that and the lack of space. I know we've got some ancient forests, but it's very, very minimal and space-wise. But I can't dismiss the reports out of hand. They are there. Mm-hmm. So people are seeing something. You know, professional people on a train, and they see something. Why would they jeopardize everything by coming up with that? They're aiming for nothing. You know, there's no agenda there. Right. So you can't dismiss that. And from my military experience, and when I was given the job of trying to interact with the local people of different cultures time and time again, I've learned that on both scales you can't be easily led into believing something, but on the same level you can't be just easily dismiss something without giving it some real some depth and to give it some proper thought.
I think the main thing is evidence, though, isn't it? At the end of the day, evidence is really important. And
yeah, but what science is saying is required as evidence, to me, just flies in the face of everything, because it's hypocritical. Because like you see it, like it'd be a psychologist, like say on some program to do with Sasquatch, they'll say that the human mind is fundamentally untrustworthy as a witness. It can't be relied upon. Yet that same witness is good enough to kill a man in a court of law. And that to me is scandalous. I don't understand how they can stand there with a straight face and say the same statement. I really don't. Because we all know, yes, the mind can be a little warped, a little few degrees off from what it recalls, but it doesn't get it that wrong, does it? You know, if you're walking down the track and there's a 9-foot hairy guy stood there, it's always going to be, and always was, a 9-foot hairy guy. It wasn't a moose walking away.
Right.
You know? And that to me, I think is just, it's despicable. It's disgusting, really, to even put us in a bracket where we could be so stupid to believe that. But sadly, people do.
There's a whole world of that. There's no shortage of stupid in this planet, unfortunately, but you're right. So I mean, these accounts, of course, as we've discussed, are everywhere. What do you think? I mean, do you think they are basically the same species across the globe, or do you think that are they cousins? Are they, what's going on here? Are these just one widespread species, or is this a big family tree that spans the globe?
I think there's differences, yes, but I think generally, I think they stem from the same. Mm-hmm. I think they're all a type of hominid. They're not an ape gorilla at all, in my belief. And I do believe in what Melba Ketchum did. Though her work is fantastic, and it shows that, it really does. But like you say, you could go right as far across as Indonesia, with your orang pendek, and right across for Yowie, and work your way across. There's differences, yes, but there's differences. If you look at what science tells us, our own history is our own lineage, and I believe that our own lineage is only half understood. And I think these creatures have a place within that. We could even have the evidence of them, but we just haven't realized it yet. I think they will realize and come to the point of understanding that our archaic hominid ancestors were hair covered. That's what I believe. Like they're starting to believe now that dinosaurs were covered in feathers, and I think that will be the real genesis of a change when they realize that, because people will be able to look at them, seeing as that's what you think. Hang on a minute, not think ape gorilla straight away, because it's only the hair that makes people jump to that conclusion anyway.
So getting back to Melba Ketchum's work, I'm just kind of curious. I don't really have a real well-defined formative opinion on that work, but I find it peculiar that it seems to suggest a human mother at some point in that lineage, but then something else on the other side. What do you make of that?
Well, same as it's no different boat from what they're in. So you can't tell what is the unknown. Still, there is an unknown quantity to this whole thing. But the evidence does show that there is evidence of a hybridization happening around about 15,000 years ago. but they don't even know which archaic hominid that was with. And I don't know.
Sure.
Just be conjecture and speculation, And
No, right. But, I just think as long as we're on the topic, that I find very curious. And allegedly there is precedence around the world of these stories of people being able to breed, human beings being able to breed with these hominids. You look at
a lion and a tiger, for example.
I'm sorry?
A lion and a tiger, for example.
Oh, like a liger, yeah.
Always my argument.
Right.
If you talk about human race, they can interbreed the same as felines can interbreed, the same as canines can interbreed. That happens again and again and again. So I don't understand where this sort of like doubting of it could even come from.
Sure.
Apart from, the difference in the blood. It's a very big difference, but is it? We are hair covered after all, but just got very fine hair.
Yep, that is a good point. But I just have you heard of that case in China? Apparently, in a village where a woman was apparently abducted by a Yaren and taken out in the hills and apparently taken advantage of, and she was able to get free and came back and had this child. There is footage of this child, and
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. I can get you a link to that at some point. But it's incredible in that it's a man, of course, by the time there is crews that go over there to check into this claim. And this man, apparently he never learned language. He never liked clothing. He hated to wear clothing. He does have the sloping brow, almost a conical shaped head. His arms are much too long, and he's very moves in a very ape-like manner. It's really, really peculiar, but apparently the story is that the woman was taken and then she was mated with, and she was able to get free and had this child. And I got to say, it's got to be pretty compelling for maybe even a more modern day version of this hybridization.
Yeah, especially when that's not the only example of that. What we've got. Right. We've got in Russia the
Zana,
Native American stories of that, where a certain woman came back and she was pregnant and gave birth, something which stayed, was sort of just different.
Yeah.
So there are, it keeps happening. So I've got no doubts that's the case, none at all. And I think that goes a long way to explaining the differences in what people are seeing sometimes. I know we keep hearing this type 1, 2, 3 to 4 and whatever. And that might be right. I don't know. But I think a lot of it is to do with genes and how much genes they've got of so much else. It's the same with mixed race children. It depends on what sort of percentage they've got of each type to what they do look like. And
do you not think if there's like human DNA in there, then when it comes to breeding, there's going to be complications, isn't there? If you get in sisters and brothers, fathers and daughters.
But it's the same as in all royal families through the ages.
It doesn't though, does it? I mean, rabbits will mate with whatever, and we don't get deformed rabbits.
No, they still need a gene pool. They still need a gene pool. That's why they will go out of the area. Otherwise, they'd all stay put. Every creature, every mammal anyway, has to have a wider gene pool, and that's just the way it is. Otherwise, complications can and do occur. You're right, of course. Yeah. But we're still talking hybridization between two human species, both hominid. It's not like we've got like the dogman, for example, hominid canine. There you've got a problem. But no, not with Sasquatch, not at all. You've got both sides of the hybridization coming from the same branch. Absolutely. Yeah.
That makes sense. What do you think of that, Don?
I'm chatting with the chatters. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But I do, I have a hard time with Dogman and a similar reason, but mine's more the effect that I don't want to know about them. So, we have a friend over here. Her name is Cindy Goodbreak, and she says she lives 50 miles from us, and she's a Bigfoot researcher. And she's recently said that we have dogmen in our area, or questioned the idea that we may have dogmen in the area. And I just went, no, I don't want to hear it, Cindy. However, with Bigfoot or Sasquatches, I think it's more probable than, as Jason's saying, a hybrid with a canine, as odd and twisted as that sounds. But there you go. That's me.
Sure.
Naturally, I don't think it could ever have occurred, but then people will say it's the unnatural type of bonding which has occurred. And I hear that, I hear them, and I'm not learned enough to dismiss that, because who knows? I'm not going to be like the mainstream scientist who says we know it all, we know this, that, and the other, because then we're just going Earth syndrome again, or back to the church where we're going to string Galileo, but not for his saying that we're not in the center of the universe. And who knows? I think there could be something. I don't think we know hardly as much as we think, but I still stand on the side of, I think it's rubbish, dogman that is. But show me, I will say sorry and say, there you go.
Yep.
I agree. There's so many questions, I think, in all of this, but you've been doing some pretty interesting research as well in your work with the BDRP, huh?
Yeah. Everything online again, because I'm sort of a bit limited because of my location being in England, but I've been doing as much as I can for the team, looking at footage and stuff by just slowing it all down and having a good look through it and finding some real interesting things. And a lot of these people don't realize just how bloody successful they're being. And it's frustrating because I can't get them to see it either, because you really have to break it down. You really have to break the footage down. I can't even say a timestamp because it's like timestamp point something, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
It's difficult to do, but it's there. Oh yeah, it's there. Yeah. That's what I'm limited with. It's just trying to get involved, just
right.
Very passionate about it.
When you're reviewing footages and stuff, I'm sure you must be dealing with quite a spectrum of footages, and of course we all are familiar with the blob squatches and stuff, but is there any specific technique that you're using that helps to clean up that to help really be able to see what's going on in those images, or how are you doing this?
Well, for the folk out there that are limited, like say I am, I've got a very good phone, but that's my only link right now, because the breaks for any other medium I haven't got right now. So if anyone out there using just that technique, as you're looking through it, the best one is when someone's left a stationary camera and they just leave it playing out somewhere instead of walking around. You can use the technique when someone's walking around with it, but that's more difficult. If it's just left stationary and they'll come back to it, then as it's looking through, just go through it, choose an area, break it down, otherwise you get lost, like break it into sections, grid it, and go through, like if you can you imagine just press play, pause, like that. If you've got something which is dubious, you do that through it, and it breaks it down to frame by frame by frame, and that's how quick they are, and that's what's gobsmacked me, because I didn't expect to find what I found, and it really freaked me at first. I thought, oh my god, what was that? I saw what I saw, and I stayed quiet on it for about 10 days because I knew what I'd seen. I thought, well, this thing just peeked up, looked at me, back down again. But how am I going to tell somebody that? And how I found it, I wasn't even trusting it, so I just kept doing it, going back in different moods, different times of the day, to see if it had just sprung on me and I hadn't gone cracking. But no, there it was. And then I started using this again and again, and found all sorts. The differences in behaviours, it's completely different. They are phenomenal to watch if there's a stationary camera, because they like to watch the camera like we do, like watching TV or something. It's really weird for me to explain. I could just spout that, but go and have a look. It's there. You can see it. They try and put themselves into areas so they can watch the camera. It's bizarre.
I have another question for you, and being as you're an analyst on as far as the films and stuff, I'm kind of curious, because it seems to me, and I've asked a lot of people this question. I've got different feedback about it, but do you think, in your opinion, are they able to see in the infrared spectrum and see the infrared lights?
It's something that I often think about, but I think if it's either the infrared or it's an amazingly bionic ear they've got, but there's something about trail cams that they see. There's something that gives them to watch out, and I don't know what that is. Maybe they can't. I don't know, but they see something. They pick up on something. That's obvious. Yeah.
And the other part of that really I find absolutely amazing is that it's not just trail cams, it's security cams. They have this tendency to stay just beyond the edge of that visible light, that infrared spread on a lawn. So there shouldn't be any noise happening, on a security camera that you would, I mean, granted, maybe there's some kind of high frequency pitch.
Something, I don't know what it is. Yeah. Like you say, but may well not be the noise, but they're picking up some differential that is affecting them, which they can pick up on. And I don't know what. Maybe it's along the electrical front. I don't know. They like say so much we don't know, and it's just guesswork, isn't it? But
But that's I guess that's all we're all doing is guessing, really, at this point, since we don't study them firsthand. But I'm just curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Got Kerry's joined us.
The boss is here.
The boss.
Hello, boys and girls. How y'all doing?
We're good. How you doing?
Very tired.
It looks
I
like
didn't mean to break up the awesome conversation there. I don't have computer or anything else set up, but I have a nice brand new camper here.
it looks like you got really good bandwidth too.
Yeah.
It's actually really great here. I'll be set up for next week. Just let everybody know. Oh, Daniela left. What you guys are talking about, we had this discussion. Somebody made a point, and it just kind of clicked about, we're talking about trail cams here and why there's not very many decent trail cam pictures. And, if you look at what MK Davis did, what Mark Zasky and Crypto Reality did with the hair, you look at this hair under a microscope and it just seems to diffuse the light. Mm-hmm. You hit it at the right angle with the light, and it's just looks like a prism. It's crazy. And what I contend is that I think these creatures walk in front of trail cams all the time. But in order for a trail cam to work, that beam has got to be reflected back, not just broken. So I think that beam hits them and the hair diffuses it. It's not bouncing the signal back to it. Because you think about the trail cam pictures we do have are this close, or the back is turned and something else set the camera off. So it's not impossible for them to get caught on trail cam. I just think they either can see that we can see that IR light. We just can't see the beam. Maybe they can see it, and maybe they can see it better than they can. If you've seen a trail cam and you look at it, you can see that infrared that looks like little LEDs there in the circle. But I think that light hits them, and I think the hair diffuses it. That's why we don't have any really good, clear, other than the clear ones that we have, that I think something else might have set the camera off. I just wanted to interject that.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, yeah. But I'm not sure I sort of buy into that right as yet, as a reason why they're not showing on camera. Because there would be something left behind, wouldn't there, Kerry? Some sort of residue, something which would be there.
If they're not triggering the camera, Jason, the camera's not going to go off. Look at the one that Les Stroud had, where he had the apple stuck up on the tree. You see one image, it's clear video.
Yeah, I've watched that again and again. Yeah.
Goes out, then the apple's just completely gone. So what if but it's other stuff, bugs and whatever, that's setting the camera off. What if this creature just comes in, grabs it, goes out, and the camera just never goes off because the signal's not getting transmitted back to the camera to take that image?
I'm really not sure.
That it seems more viable than it's magic, or
I don't think magic
it's
at all.
Doing something to the camera. How did that apple just disappear?
I think
without the camera?
More often than not, people aren't realizing that they're not idiots, and they can see when somebody puts the bloody things up.
No, I get it.
They're so obvious in what they're doing.
I get that too.
It's not like any other game animal. They see it again and again. They put that there, so I'm not going to go there.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
that's probably the majority of it. I think that's probably the majority of it. But when they don't see it,
underestimation of their ability, of their intellect, massively.
Right. I agree 100%. I'm just, the contention I make and the evidence that I'm presenting is that Apple video. Where that Apple
yeah, and I've seen that, and I've watched that 1,000 times and tried to dismiss it in any other way. And I thought, if it's not a hoax, there's something going on. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, because it's there and it's not. it's a magic show. It's gone. The apple goes.
That's right.
For sure. Yeah,
that's right. But it kind of, to me, it kind of explains it, and that's all I was saying. I don't. I'm not going to break up the show anymore. I just I wanted to inject that, and thank you so much, Brent and Don, for taking over. Daniela, you're lovely as always. Jason, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, brother. I really am. But I want to have you back.
I believe you.
I think you and I would probably have one of the better debates on all this stuff. So I'm going to have you back for sure.
Awful. Yeah, I look forward to that, Kerry. I do.
Excellent. It took long enough, didn't it? And I wasn't even
there.
It
did eventually, didn't it? But it happened.
All right. Well, I'm out, guys. I'll probably be in and out.
God
of the
bless
chat
you, Kerry.
So I'll listen later. All right. Take care, guys.
See you,
Take care.
Bye.
No, that is an interesting point to bring up. Of course, is the intellect. I think everybody's already pretty clear about some of the physical prowess that they display regularly. That is just off the charts, like superhuman. But do you believe that they're working on an intellect on par with ours, or do you think even maybe above ours?
I think they've got different parts of their brain functioning at a higher level than ours, for sure. I think they may be a bit lacking on the frontal lobe regions, but I think there are parts of their brain which are way more highly in tune than ours, for sure. I think certain abilities are highly tuned, and the evidence says that again and again. It's not just just hocus pocus magic or anything like that. They are amazingly tuned in. And look at the way they are with just the remembering type of what they're doing, and that the whole aspect of that, and the revenge aspect, because something to hold a grudge has to be highly intellectual, has to be, and they do hold grudges, and I think that says a lot to do with bad experiences people are having, even though we might not have seen it. It might not be that person that did something wrong to that particular individual, but that individual has got a gripe with humanity, and it's I don't think they've just out of hand hate human. I don't think that happened. I think it's as a reaction, always as a reaction to something that's happened. So I really do.
I do know of other animals in the kingdom of animals that will hold a grudge. A water buffalo will hold a grudge and will try to kill.
How long will it hold it for? Do you know?
Well, I've heard them stalking and waiting for a specific hunter to get into a specific place so they can trample them that tried to shoot them.
So over time, you're talking there.
Even over time, crows are known to hold grudges for an awful long time as well.
But I think they're very intelligent. I think they're very intelligent.
I do too, and I'm not degrading from what you're saying at all. But
I'm fascinated with what you're saying. Totally
I just think there are plenty of higher functioning animals. I believe that there's many tiers in the animal kingdom of how they're working on a mental scale, but there are some that do seem to operate on that almost human intelligence. Like they know somebody did something. Wolves, for instance, the same way.
But the sense of humor type aspect that you're throwing in,
that's
you
true.
keep hearing it all the time.
Yeah.
They're doing things for a reason, and it's just get a laugh. They know that scariness is bad for us, but I tell you what, it tickles them. That's what I think.
I thought
it's the only way I can understand it, make any sense of it.
I thought about
people said that's the reason they give for dismissing the whole subject. That if it's so intelligent and it's so wary and so trying to keep out of sight, why is this happening? Why? And I think that's deliberate. It's all. I think it's adolescents all the time, and I think they get a spanking when they get back. Again and again, I think they're doing it, or it might be the old Native American, the coup. Where they got to touch it. It might be a rite of passage. Who knows what it could be? But I don't think they do things just for no reason at all. I don't think it's stupidity.
Right.
No.
I was just thinking.
The banging on the house you keep hearing, don't you? And that makes, to me, is madness.
Right.
But they keep doing it.
How you hear about people who've had encounters and they've said, some people have said they can't do anything because they look too human, don't they? Have you heard that? I wonder what Sasquatch thinks when he's looking at a human. He looks like us.
He looks like an ape. That's a dog man. Mum, I saw a dog man today.
I wonder if that's why most of the time there isn't attacks or maybe they're confused as to why they're maybe looking at something similar. I mean, I don't know if they see the reflection in the water or something like that, if they're self-aware in terms of reflection.
I think again, like curiosity, I think the curiosity they obviously show, again, is a big indicator of intellect, a massive sign of it. And they show that again and again, don't they? I think, and I was talking to Bobo Fay a while back, and I said to her, I think that's a good technique to use, is just go in there and be very sort of, not actively, seeking them, but be in a position which, is an active area, and doing something off the chart, something mad. I think like juggling, something crackers, they will come to you every single time. Because I don't think they can help themselves. I really don't. I think they really, they're just curious to. I really do.
Yeah. Kevin, we'll get you back on, and you can explain. Definitely, we've got to get Kevin back on from Arizona Squatch.
Oh, nice. Yep.
We didn't get enough time, and he had a lot to say. So I'm just addressing him. Sorry about that. So,
good point.
There's a lot of questions, isn't there? There's a lot of questions, but sometimes I think, not sometimes, but we have to kind of strip away what we don't know is fact, what we don't know is true. There's a lot of speculation goes on, a lot of people just saying things and repeating things, and people are just repeating that without any basis to it. And, when you break it down, we know very little. We actually know very little about them.
It's true. It's true. But I wish the whole community would do more together. Instead of just building up walls between each other's ideas and hypotheses, they're not trying to link them all together and work it all like that. Together, it will go miles, this subject. I really do. And it's just not right now, because there's just too many lines and walls built. Too much hatred, like what happened a while back with Kerry and what's his name? Is it Colorado? I got involved in that. Called me a bootlicker because you weasel.
Well, we'll just keep it
stupid. I will say it's just unnecessary.
I don't know.
It is, but I think they've moved on from that. I think everyone's kind of learned and moved on from that. And
just one example of the many things,
Well, what do? The thing is, when you start giving your opinions, people start getting upset, and that's the problem. And you kind of said this before, Jason. You don't want to touch on certain things sometimes because you don't want the backlash of what people are going to say. And
how much things are people missing out on when they shut the door down straight away because they don't like that bit? What about everything else they've got to say? Yeah. I think we need to stop worrying about upsetting people so much and then worry about the things that we're not going to learn because we've put that shutter up so rapidly. It seems to happen.
The problem is
we're not children.
People invest so much time into this subject, like researchers, and once you start to question what they do, it becomes so personal, which I can understand in a way, but anywhere you go, you should be able to ask questions. You should be able to actually find out whether this person is,
But surely if you're passionate about a subject, that means the subject should be bigger than yourself. So that means you've got to accept that things might not go the way your own personal beliefs were guiding you to begin with, but it's because you're passionate about the subject, isn't it? So if they're saying that, then obviously they're not. They're more passionate about their own person, and the way they look to or perceive themselves. It's that and that's the way it seems to me, because that's the only way you'd get upset with someone disagreeing with you, because if the evidence points towards that. And if you love the subject, you'd buy into it straight away. Of course you would.
It doesn't work like that, though. It's not working like that in this subject.
Which tells me a lot about what they really are passionate about. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of damage that can be done.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Just
it is a shame.
Challenging people, and I think we should be able to just ask questions without people feeling like you're attacking them or.
That's it. Yeah. it's not a personal attack, is it? If you just
not a personal attack,
asking them further, what do you mean? They really do they're so defensive straight away and frighteningly quickly sometimes, and it does make you wonder what's going on. Yeah, because I think it is obstructing the research and where it'll get us, and as soon as where it'll get us, and the time frame we're talking about as well. And it just makes the naysayers and the debunkers' job so much easier. It really does.
Yeah.
We're doing it for them, in fact. Yeah. But I think it'll work. It'll work. This is still a young dynamic, isn't it? If you think about it, really, in the whole process, this worldwide connection, being able to do it all together, it's still very young. So it's going to be like that, I think, until we learn to be able to accept that is going to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've spent a long time doing the same thing, and we've not got anywhere. I mean, some people have. I'm not criticizing anybody. Just, it's great what everybody wants to do, but in terms of where we're going with this subject, apart from this expedition now, which is going to be a totally new thing, done in a different way, we need to completely change what we're doing, totally, because we've been doing it for ages, and we're just still getting the same little movements, the same little blurred picture, and no one's trying to say Bigfoot doesn't exist. We're just saying the evidence.
Do you believe, any of you, does any of you believe that there is evidence that is coming through and is somehow getting filtered somewhere, somehow? Does anybody think along those lines?
I think there are many people that are holding on to that.
Me too. And I couldn't add to that as in like where or how it's the functions of it, but I'm sure it's happening.
Well, I mean, even in the community, though, I mean, Jason, look at people may have pristine photos out there of these beings, and they may have these amazing, other pieces of evidence that they've been able to compile. But if you look at the process of people releasing stuff, I mean, it's a feeding frenzy. There's so many people that are so quick to attack that they don't really objectively look at the information that the people are presenting. And I think that's always going to...
I wonder that as well, how much evidence is out there, what people are sitting on because they just fear letting it go.
I've heard that there are amazing, pristine videos out there, but the people that have them refuse to enter that fray. They don't want to be any part of it. And you think about this field of research. It's very unique in that it is incumbent upon us, the lay people, to do it. It's not being sanctioned. It's not being. It's not given a lot of official attention. It's up to us, the people, in our own passions and in our own drive to go out
open mic night.
Right. Yeah, because there's the pro comedians aren't showing up, so everyone else is just getting up and telling jokes. And I think people are doing extraordinary things with the resources that they have, and they're giving their blood, sweat, and tears to this. And so I understand the passion that people feel for it, and I understand that also creates a pride, and it also creates vitriol, I suppose, as well. But I think that there aren't very many things that exist in this world that are up to the enthusiasts to do, because
that's what it's very, 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 very unique. Very unique.
Yeah.
And people, like you said, get too defensive about their own particular work, what they've done, because, like you said, they've been so diligent and hardworking to provide it. And my hat's off to them. Even if I disagree with somebody's work, I won't name him, but it's to do with the dog man, and I don't buy into it. But my God, does he put the hours in? And hats off to the guy. And that's what I say first and foremost. Not the disagreeing with what we're saying, but just the fact that he's prepared to put in that amount of effort again and again and again. And hats off.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a dedication to something that, by and large, is really an unrewarding field, but they do it because they're passionate.
Yeah. Thankless task, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it seems to be. But I think that, it's all intrinsic rewards. Like just the other day, I went out with a friend of mine and looked at some possible structure areas. And even though we didn't turn up anything good, I'm here to tell you, it just felt good to get out in the woods. It just felt good to get out there and to look. It just felt really fun. So I think sometimes the pursuit in itself is the reward, but you know, we're all looking for the answers too.
Well, I think it's quite addictive as well, this subject.
Yes.
And that's the other side to it, is it can become everything to some people, you know, almost to an obsession.
Yeah.
And you can see that with the amount of
It's
videos
very powerful, isn't it?
on YouTube. And I mean, when I first started getting into it, and I, you know, thought, I'm going to have a look around, I'm going to find a research area. I was getting into it. I was feeling tuned into it. I mean, I don't know whether that was because there was something around, but you literally start trying to tune into this thing, and it can create all sorts of stuff in your head. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but what I'm saying is you can make it happen. You can listen out for that tree break. You can see a little glyph on it could be just a little something, and you're going, but maybe it is that. And
I think it's definitely black and white, isn't it? Between the two,
you can want
going into the woods with a maybe head on, or going into the woods and never having thought about it. I think it's completely, chalk and cheese in that matter. Don't you? Because the things you look for, I even do it now. Even like say, even in England, where I'm very dubious, but you're looking at every sort of break. Or if I'm watching stuff on TV, you got a lot of stuff in Alaska. I keep trying to freeze it every time there's the backdrop of the woods and trying to see if I can see something. And you see them walk past a structure which is obviously like an arch or something, and you can see it. Yeah. And that to me is fascinating.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
I just think that we can become so involved in it, we lose sight of what's actually fact and reality, and not just what you want it to be, and not connecting dots that don't exist, that are not meant to be connected. And I think I'm not gonna go there. Okay, let's
I think it's a bigger subject in what it means towards us as a species than the whole alien question. I really do. And I understand where that comes from, because I've got my own belief systems in that. But with this one, it seems to be more under the radar, and more you get looked at a bit more sideways, funny sort of than you do than if you mention anything about aliens, UFOs, for example. So I've totally stopped trying to explain myself to people over here. Absolutely. So just go and have a look. That's all I tell them. I'm not going to stand here and have you just tell me, that's rubbish, without you knowing anything or having done any sort of research, or me trying to explain it to you. I'm not going to waste my breath, because that's what it feels like. Just goes way above their heads.
I think at the end of the day, everyone's got to do their own research, and they really have to look at everything, and not just a couple of videos or a couple of reports. I encourage everyone to really, if you're going to study this, look closer at everything.
Yeah. Believe nobody and find out yourself. Question everything.
And then you can make better judgments and choices of what's what sounds right and what doesn't.
It's the same as anything, isn't it? An argument, you need to have a decent argument. You need to understand both sides of where the argument's coming from. It's not an argument. It's not a debate of any decency at all. That's just basically that's just propaganda of like a despot type regime, just banging on about one side of an argument. This is right. This is right. This is right. Shut up! I'm talking. This is right, and whatever. And we have too much of that.
Yeah, we do. The other side of it too, though, Jason, I think there probably is some great stuff that's out there, and things that maybe you've been involved with as well. But I think that one of my personal pet peeves is when you look at a piece of footage and on the face of it, it looks okay. But there are so many people that just because it seems to depict something credible, fake, that's fake, that's BS, that's fake.
Yeah.
And they don't quantify that at all. It's just this I don't know where it comes from, this righteous high ground or something that they claim to have, that they can just wave the fake wand and it's not real. I'll tell you a little story, and this goes back a long time. I'll be quick about it because I know our time is limited, but there was this one image that was being passed around in groups, and it was this really ambiguous furry shape that was on a trail cam. And for the life of me, I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it and couldn't figure out what the hell it was. It was just this weird creature. And some people were saying Sasquatch, some people were saying, any number of other things, dogman, werewolf, whatever. And finally, this one gentleman came onto that thread and said, "That's a deer." And everybody's like, "Oh," and they were just piling up on this poor guy. And so his next post was he had taken the image and he had drawn with like computer lines around and showed exactly the pose the deer was in. And once he did that, boom, I saw it. And he was absolutely right. It was a deer.
Happens again and again, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
But everybody dismissed that. Even though that guy was right, they didn't want to believe it. So
it was too prosaic, wasn't it?
And as soon as he did that, the thread went silent.
I saw one online, and people say, "Guess what it is?" And I was looking and I said it was a baby bison, and it turned out it was a baby bison. And I only really found out that by going away from the photo they were showing and looking at Googling baby bison photos or anything in North America which is shiny, fluffy, and black as a baby, and looking through all the baby, and I found it was a baby bison from the back.
Yeah,
but it didn't look like a baby bison. But I deliberately went down that line because I thought, but you see your point, and again, people like that, but they try and put something on it that try and make it a bit more than what it is every time.
Yeah, either that or they're trying to take way too much away. Just like that's fake. I don't believe that's real.
Yeah, you've got both sides. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and then
so compelling.
The truth in the middle is getting stripped a bit.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is really, it's very problematic of the online culture that people are either too quick to accept or too quick to dismiss. Yeah. Without that thoughtful dialogue that I think that helps us all come to that point of understanding. You're
too right. And it's just a platform for the people that are just prepared to sit in the chair and either hate something or love something and without doing the research, it's equally wrong no matter what you're doing.
Yep.
All right, they're loving something might be more better accepted, but they're both as bad as one another. They're both not helpful.
Right.
But that's something that's going to remain, and something we're just going to have to plow through and learn to deal with and live with.
Well, I think it's human nature, so I think the second for sure. We're going to have to plow through it because you can't change people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what's next for you?
More of the same. I'm hoping Father Christmas brings me some nice sort of stuff I can use to find more Sasquatch on screens until I get over to the US. My mom says he might do, so that's good. But it's get over to the US and put my thoughts and ideas into practice, because I'm excited about that, and I really am having them sort of having everything sort of like built up. Which when it's just yourself, you still wonder, don't you, whether it is worth anything. But I'm having people who really know their stuff telling me it is, and it's good. So that gives me confidence to do that. Because from my military experience, I suffer from PTSD a lot, and this is a process to help me heal as well. And it's doing a lot towards that. It really is.
That's good.
Fantastic amount, I must admit. Yeah, they should prescribe it on the NHS, which is the health service.
Sure. You need some help. Get out there and go squatching.
That's it. Yep. Do
twice a week. This up, Jason. I appreciate your opinions. I've seen one too closely. People are having flashbacks. How can we help them? Talking's good, isn't it?
Talking to not dismissing them, giving them some just listening, whether you believe or not, and being a bit sensitive around people that are having issues like that. I know that for myself through PTSD. It's hard to talk about things like that. With my own therapist, I've wished that my leg was blown off rather than it was my brain that got damaged. What a thing to wish. That really makes me, scares me to even think that. It's not that I think it now, but yeah. So to do with that, it's just being sensitive and giving them somewhere to. If they know that they've got somewhere they can share it, and they're not just going to be ridiculed and shut off, that will help them. No end. It really is. A support group is what people need. There's no medication. There isn't. It's just people are the medication. Absolutely.
Good
So I
point.
hope they understand that.
Yeah. Carl says a trip to the US would probably do wonders for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I might need an American wife, knowing what Donald Trump's like.
There you go.
Yes,
But
Kerry
yeah,
said back up to Sasquatch Chronicles, somewhere where people can
That's-
talk and,
yeah.
and
Big
so on.
shout to him, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
who's that?
he's done great. Because
Sasquatch
again, it started because of his own experiences, and he knew what people needed. That's a good example of what I'm saying there. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I really got involved with, or listening to was that. Yeah.
We've got an ongoing war with Mr. Groomer.
Oh, do you?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm
well.
just kidding. It's very much playful.
Yeah, Wes is a good friend of ours.
Yeah, he's great.
But I swear he wears a red shirt.
Well, is he a communist?
no,
No. It's a Star Trek reference.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's the one that always gets killed. You don't know the name of. Well
played.
yeah.
Yes.
I always go for the golf shirt. Yeah, go for the golf shirt. At least I'm coming back then.
Just stick close to Kirk. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, might get the next episode that way.
No, no. The dialogue that Wes's show has enabled, and the voice that's given so many people to share their experiences have been absolutely golden in this community.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah,
That's
how I heard Kerry's. When I heard Kerry, that's how I got to know Kerry by answering it. You know, and I just approached him saying that I said I think he had PTSD, but from the way I watched the way he explained himself, and I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
And he was kind enough, to respond, and then because he knows Dee, who was a good friend of mine, and got the link that way, and and that is another. If anybody doubts the existence of Sasquatch, go watch his interview and see how that man speaks.
Yeah.
And if you cannot smell and feel the fear and what's in his body coming out, then you're not really watching, and you just don't want to believe because it's palpable.
It is
what he exudes. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah. And maybe I'm more attuned to that because, like I said, because of my past and things I had to do, and find out whether some herdsman was going to blow my head off or really was just saying which way I was going.
wow.
But, and I think people need to just do that. It tells you all you need to know. It really does.
Good point.
Carrie says,
you can tell if somebody's really feeling fear when they're speaking, or if they're telling truth, you can tell.
Yeah.
You just take the time just to not have any sort of preconceived ideas and thoughts. Just be open and just neutral. Go into it neutral. That's the best advice.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, look, we're coming up to the hour, and I know Don and Brent have got their own show to be prepared for. So everyone go over to the Paranormal Portal in an hour, is it, that you start?
Yeah, but no.
And, go and check them out because they are pretty.
So what was that in an hour? Sorry, I didn't catch that bit.
Go over to the Paranormal Portal in another hour.
Yeah.
If you can stay up that long, it'll be 3:00 for you and me. And check out Don and Brent and Don's channel.
We'll be going on there.
I will do that.
Good.
Yeah,
I hope you
Definitely do that.
Good.
All right.
And Wednesday we've got a Blue Line Bigfoot. No, Blue Line Wednesday. I'm so out of sync with everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that with Adam and Jake. And yeah,
I like their stuff as well. I like their stuff, which is just started coming out there a few months ago. I started seeing their stuff.
Yeah.
I like the way they do it, but yeah, it's good. They're good.
Yeah, they're great guys too. We've got to know them through Bigfoot Odyssey as well, and they do.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
They do a great Don impression.
Hey, Jake's in the chat room. He's probably getting a big ego. Hold on.
See it now. See it, yeah. Watch Jake.
You're welcome, Jake. Pay me tomorrow.
Well, Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. I'm sorry I haven't met you before now, but I'm really glad that I've gotten to know you through the course of this show. I really appreciate all your work and your honesty in our discussion today. I've really appreciated your insights as well. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
Pleasure's all mine, honestly. Thank you ever so much, guys. Thank you.
And Daniela, thank you so much for putting up with us one more time.
Oh, it's so popular.
You're very gentle, very gentle.
All right.
And
Well,
thank you.
thank you anyway, Brent.
Oh, well, we
Pleasure.
definitely love you. We love you,
All right, you
Daniela.
all take care, okay? Thanks everybody for listening.
And everybody out there, thank you guys for being a part of the shows. It's always a pleasure and a wonder to be here and doing the shows. And thank you for putting up with us as well. And we're just absolutely thrilled to be here and have an opportunity to have this dialogue with all of you as well. So thank you guys.
God bless.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you.